Chris, whenever you're ready, you can do your introductions and stuff.
All right. And welcome to another episode of your next favorite movie podcast. And today you're probably wondering, where's Josh? But Josh is not here today. So Chad and I are taking over again for another great episode here. So yeah, I'm Chris and this is my partner.
I'm Chad.
Chad. So today we got a great guest and we're going to be talking about a great film, if I can get my words together. I think it's also an underrated film, but we'll get to that more in a little bit. So how about our guest introduce himself and we'll get on topic about everything. So yeah.
Go ahead, Dominic.
Hi, I am Precious D, also known as Dominic. I am the co-host and producer of the podcast Monster Movie Fun Time Go, where my best friend Honeybee and I make our way through the history of kaiju movies in chronological order. We started with King Kong in 1933, and this week, let me look at my thing here, we released Deep Rising from 1998. So we're moving along. We're in our third year. We're moving along at a pretty steady clip. And we're about to embark on our third annual 31 Days of Horror.
Sweet.
In which I release an episode every day in October. We open it up to other kinds of monster movies or horror movies. This year, we're doing our Oops All Werewolves edition.
That's great.
In previous years, we've just done any kind of, not even just a monster movie. We've done like the Scream movies and things like that. Anything that falls in the broad horror category, including things like Scooby-Doo and Hotel Transylvania.
Well, yeah, you got to have some of that in there.
Is that a Biollante shirt that you're wearing?
It is. Yeah. Okay. This is kind of funny, people, but Josh gave me a little heads up about Dominic being a Kaiju fan as well. So yeah, I'm a big Godzilla fan, and Godzilla versus Biollante is my favorite, and yeah, Biollante being also my favorite creature. So yeah. And I'm representing today.
My original idea for the show was a Godzilla podcast, but I realized that wouldn't give me enough episodes. So I decided to go start with the whole history of that kind of movie and the things that led up to Godzilla.
That is amazing.
So
I like that
for a while yet.
Yeah. Have you always?
When we run out, then we'll move on to Universal Monsters or something like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, everybody loves Universal Monsters.
Yeah, there's a lot of films in that.
I'm gonna ask, have you always been like how long have you been a fan of kaiju? Like, did you get into kaiju films like as a child, or like how did you get into being a huge fan of those kind of stories and films?
I don't know exactly when it started. I probably watched a lot of them on afternoon TV, Saturday and Sunday afternoons, but I do have a memory of being at the drive-in to see some other movie and there being a preview for Godzilla versus Megalon.
Oh, wow.
And being very interested in that, but I didn't end up seeing it in the theater. I saw it years later on television. And when I started this podcast, I started thinking about, how are you a big kaiju fan? And as I thought back, I remembered that, well, yeah, you've got physical copies of most of these movies on your shelf. And in the 2000s, you were ordering video CDs from Japan so that you could see the ones that have not been released. You could watch one of those on your computer. That was a format that was big in Japan for a while. It never caught on here. But it was kind of like a DVD, but it was a CD, and I guess it just used a different video format, and you could play it on your computer. And I think they had a tendency to be region free, like CDs are. So,
okay.
So one of the Millennium films, I think I got that way because it was the only way I could get it.
Yes.
So I realized, I've just always I've always been into this. There's just other things that are a little bit louder in
Right.
my life, like Superman and role playing games. But Godzilla's always been there in the background, and now he's very much in the foreground.
I think that's amazing, sir. So I started out as a kid loving Godzilla films, and because really I had an uncle who introduced me and Chad actually into it. So the love affair, I guess you could say, just only grew from there. So yeah, I feel you.
But for some reason, that is not at all what we're talking about today.
No, definitely not. So if you can, Mr. Dominic, tell us, what film are we talking about today?
We are talking about 2001's Josie and the Pussycats,
Which
the best
incidentally
film ever.
does not have a kaiju in it, which is hilarious.
It does not. It does not. It does not at all.
All right, yeah. So Josie and the Pussycats released April 11th, 2001, and stars Rachel E. Cook, Tara Reid, Rosario Dawson, Alan Cumming, Missy Pyle, I believe,
Yep.
isn't it? Parker Posey. Gosh,
Yes.
a whole list of like recognizable icons from that time. Had a budget of 39.
Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy, yes. Oh my God, yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yes, he's in it. Yeah, we got a budget of 39 million. Directed by Harry Elfont and Deborah Kaplan, who were known for like really interesting movies. Like I know they were known for like Can't Hardly Wait, which is a great movie.
Wow, yeah.
They were known for working on a Very Brady sequel and the Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those were like some of their bigger films. And interesting note is that the cinematographer, I was doing a little bit of research, the cinematographer on this was a man named Matthew Libatique, who is like Darren Aronofsky's like go-to cinematographer.
Oh, okay.
So he's like done all of like Aronofsky's films. But even though this movie has developed a cult following and has found its own, big fan base today, it was at the time a commercial failure. The film had only made about half of its budget, probably a little bit less than that. So it was not the big success that I guess they were hoping for, but it's still, a great movie, and it's a very underrated movie, I think. So I think it's pretty interesting.
I mean, the thing is, it came out for me. It came out towards the end of my high school years. So I try to sit back and think, oh man, did I see a lot of promotion for it? But I cannot really remember much promotion for it. Maybe a few commercials here and there, but not a whole lot of talk of everyone should see this movie. But critics probably also trashed it a bit, perhaps, but it's really one of those movies that's really underrated, and I think deserves a little bit of reevaluation. But what drew you to Josie and the Pussycats?
In general, or to talk about it on this show?
Whatever you feel is necessary to say to answer the question.
I just missed it in the theater, and I was a grown-ass man. I was not in high school. I was visiting my brother, and we went to the video store to get something for the evening, and it was on the shelf, and I was like, oh, I wanted to see this, and I missed it. So we rented it, and I just loved it immediately. Bought the soundtrack as soon as I could.
Oh, understandable.
Got my own the soundtrack apparently did a little better than the movie did. It was like 16th on the Billboard charts and went gold. So
there we go. Yeah, it had some good bops on there, so that's for sure.
Yeah.
I ended up becoming a Kay Hanley and Letters to Cleo fan because of
nice
the soundtrack.
Yeah, I love Letters to Cleo.
And there was a time when all my stuff got stolen from a U-Haul truck. The
Oh.
whole truck got stolen. And the first movie that I replaced was Josie and the Pussycats. I
Nice.
currently own like 5 copies of it.
Oh wow.
A VHS, a DVD, the PG rated DVD, Blu-ray, and a digital copy, as well as a CD and vinyl of the soundtrack. I just love every moment of this movie. It's funny, it's beautiful, the music is great.
Yeah, I definitely think it was.
Everybody in it does a really good job.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things about the movie was that it it definitely has like a commentary about that era, in
Especially the
terms
music in the
with the
industry
music,
and
but
stuff.
like
Yeah.
also like about the music industry and like how they how the industry sort of like really market itself toward young people and everything, and even sort of how I guess smoke and mirrors the industry can be in a lot of
Well,
ways.
and manipulative.
And manipulative,
You know,
yeah.
and if anything, it probably just goes to show you even probably how the industry is today with behind the scenes stuff. We'll say that the political stuff. For the politicking you have to do behind the scenes to probably get your music heard, get it recorded, and how you're going to get it promoted. And you have people in suit and ties who think they kind of know better.
Yeah.
And it just drives wedges in between relationships and stuff. So yeah.
So
Your listeners can't see this, but on the wall behind me is my shadow box with a picture autographed by 2 of the Pussycats,
Oh my
a
gosh.
it's
pair
the headsets.
ears
Yeah.
from the concert at the end of the movie.
Oh, I love
These are
it.
a pair of stunt ears. They're
Oh
kind of
my
broken,
God.
actually, and a fake ticket
Uh,
that came. I backed. I crowdfunded this book, Best Movie Ever,
Hmm.
an oral history of Deborah Kaplan and Harry Alphonse, Josie and the Pussycats by Russ Burlingame,
Oh,
and it
okay.
came with that
Oh
that
my gosh.
fake concert ticket that's in that box too.
So who are the 2 cast members that are signed?
I got Rachel Lee Cook by sending her that in the mail, and then I got Tara Reid in person about a year ago. I guess she was at a local small Comic-Con that we have here in
Okay.
West Texas.
Nice.
And, I getting Rosario's is going to be a problem, but there's this autograph company that does signings and sells things, and they will, if you send them something, they will have the person sign it, but they have to have something scheduled. You can't just do it at any old time.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
So I'm
about.
on their mailing list next time they say that Rosario's. Because I don't want to just risk putting it in the mail.
Right.
So there was a time when I aggressively collected autographs through the mail. But once
That is
something's been
awesome.
signed by one person, it's a big chance sending it to a second person.
Yeah.
Sure.
I actually met Rosario Dawson once. It was at a local convention here. She was, and it's for really it was a smaller show back then, but there was a lot of people that showed. Remember?
Yeah, it's for Heroes Comic Con.
Yeah.
Heroes Con.
And actually I got her autograph on oh my gosh, Grindhouse poster, because it was around the time Grindhouse was
Mhm. Oh,
probably
that's right.
coming out or
Yeah.
after it came out, and she was doing autographs and supporting her. Was it her cousin?
Well, no, she
Or
had
uncle?
okay, so her uncle was there, who's a professional comics artist named Gus Vasquez.
Yes, and he was so excited because I brought up that Sunfire and Big
His
Hero
like
6.
one of his
Yeah.
first works, but she was there because she had like co-written a comic book
That's
called The
right.
Occult Detectives
Yes.
or something like that.
Yes.
So she was there sort of promoting that, and so like I remember her and her uncle Gus had
They were at
their
that big
own had that
table.
big
Yeah.
booth there.
And she even
yeah.
had he had her come over and look at the book and everything
At
too,
the
because he
book you
was so,
brought,
so
yeah.
it was, but she was so nice, I have to say.
Yeah, she was nice for in that
Hmm.
little 5-second encounter. But yeah, yeah.
Really nice. Yeah, she took a look at it for a few minutes. It was cool.
But now she's gone on to bigger things. She's now Ahsoka.
Oh gosh, she's everywhere.
You know,
Everywhere. I
Star
mean,
Wars
just had Ahsoka and
and
Haunted Mansion just came out.
Look at
with
her being
Yeah.
these big
Yeah.
tentpole things.
Yeah, I was very much, God damn it, now I gotta watch Haunted Mansion because Rosario Dawson's in it.
Well, you know, it is a good movie. I I enjoyed it for what it was. You know,
Okay.
it wasn't groundbreaking or anything, but it was good for what it was. Yeah.
Is it streaming yet?
I think next
I-
month. Next month
Oh, yeah.
on Disney. Yeah.
It's got a
Disney
physical
Plus.
release coming up
Okay.
too, so.
Yeah. So it should be
But
out real
it
soon.
sounds like you're whatever it was that when you first saw this movie, it just completely hooked you. And
Yeah.
because you got you got books, you got the physical copies, different variations of that,
You got the
albums,
soundtrack.
soundtracks, autographs,
Mhm.
headphones, and everything. So, was there something about the movie that you were just, I really love this movie? This was there something in the story or something in the characters? And can you remember anything in terms of what hooked you immediately?
I mean, it's the whole thing all together. I mean, the it starts off with this boy band, and everybody in that is so funny. Alan Cummings is so funny.
Yeah.
Uh, the 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 opening credit song is so catchy.
Yeah.
It just really it really pulls you in. The girls are beautiful and charming and fun. It's the best thing Tara Reid's ever done. I mean, I think
I agree.
It's the best thing
agree.
all of them have ever done. I
Sure,
really think
yeah.
it's the best thing all of them have done. But Tara in particular is just, she gets a lot of shit, but she is perfectly suited to this part.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she
they have
commits to it 100%, and she does a really good job.
yes. And they have a great chemistry in this movie, all three of them.
Mhm.
You definitely believe the characters from what was on the page and onto the screen. They really bring it, I think. And then, like you said, there
And
was really good performances from like Alan Cumming. Oh my god, that man was hilarious.
Yeah.
I always, me and Chad, we always quote, Josephine, I am running a record company. So-
That's one of my something about when he calls her Josephine. I love that moment.
That had to be like a what do you call it? Like a improv moment. It had to
You
be
think
like
so?
it had to be.
This is peak Alan Cumming. This was a time when he was just everywhere, showing up
Yeah.
in everything, and he is just. It's my understanding that Parker Posey didn't quite get it at first, and Alan told her something like, "Well, just have fun. It's just fun. Just
right.
Yeah, it's
just
almost
a
kind of
silly
a
thing.
farce
Just have fun."
movie in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy because she is so good. She's a great actress and very funny, just has great comedic timing. So it's kind of interesting to hear that she had a little bit of difficulty with it at first until it was like, no, just have fun.
Yeah.
Because she just seems like someone that would not take it necessarily too serious. But I guess maybe she got stuck in her head at one point.
Yeah, I think she was trying to act. Just, trying to work out her motivation and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, just relax and have a good time.
Yeah. Oh,
All it is. I love Missy Pyle in it. Her line about I'm here because I was in the comic book. Just brilliant. Just love it.
Which is, it's befitting because I mean, obviously, this is based off the Archie comics. Books, Josie and the Pussycats. So yeah, and that probably
first
one of the
first Archie property to
get
a was the first Archie property and the only one really to get a theatrical film.
Oh wow!
I guess you're right.
I guess the rest of them have always been like TV
TV
shows,
adaptations, yeah.
Been a number of cartoons. There's been attempts at a live action Archie, and then there was the Riverdale
Yeah.
atrocity that I just I didn't care for at all. The thing is, I've got Archie comics where they'll put Archie in different situations.
Mhm.
They made Archie a superhero. They've turned the whole gang into zombies.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've had Archie go up against the Punisher and Sharknado.
And Predator.
But Archie yes, and Predator. But Archie has to stay Archie. No matter where he is, what he's doing, he needs to be Archie.
Hmm.
And that's how it works. And when Riverdale had Archie having an affair with Mrs. Grundy, I was like, no. No.
This is not Archie.
It took him completely out.
You can't do that. Yeah. I was like, this is not Archie. You've messed up. You can have Archie be serious, and they've done an Archie comic that there's a current one or a recent one that's done in a more modern style of illustration and a modern style of storytelling, and just has a slightly more serious tone, a less gag oriented tone
right
to it, where it's ongoing stories rather than just 1 or 2 page jokes. But he's still Archie, and he still behaves like Archie, and everybody else is still doing what they do.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's great. It's great even, but you can't have him act out of character, and having him have an affair with it, not okay. So I think I made it through one episode of that show and I shut it down.
No problem. Dominic's like, I'm out. I'm done.
Yep.
Yeah.
So obviously you've explained your love for the film, and so I gotta ask this one question here, and it's probably gonna be hard to answer. Maybe
everybody always has a hard time with it.
I think so too. So if there was a sequel or a prequel that was to be made, what would you like to see in it?
Oh, I don't have a hard time with that at all. It's got to be Josie and the Pussycats in outer space.
Oh, nice.
That's what you got to do.
Man, that was a very
some of your. I don't know if you're. I don't know how old your audience is in general. They may not be aware, but there was a cartoon, Josie the Pussycats in outer space. There was a Josie and the Pussycats cartoon, and then they made a second one, Josie and the Pussycats in outer space. I don't know if it was the same company, but there was also Partridge Family in 22,000 AD. So the idea
wow.
of taking a band and putting it in a science
that.
fiction setting.
Oh, I love it already.
Has been done. So that's and they've these recent comics I was talking about. They did a Josie and the Pussycats in outer space comic, and like Josie and the Pussycats meet Alien.
Oh gosh!
I mean, it's not literally Alien, but it's a space body horror comic.
Right.
That's wild.
In outer space.
That is very wild.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love the idea.
That's absolutely what I would do. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know. And the thing is, I don't know if the cartoon, I don't know if it really addresses. I think they're just getting on a rocket, but they're going to other planets and stuff. So I don't know if I would set it in the future, or have them supposed to be going to space station and get knocked off course. I don't know what the exact plot would be, but you could just, they're in outer space. Don't worry about it.
Sure. Or they could just get abducted.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like a Galaxy Quest where they
there you go.
sort of just abduct it, and then boom, they got to save the universe with their music or something.
Yeah.
Oh man, definitely.
But that's another thing about this movie. They are dealing with a nefarious plot, because that's what happens in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Some bad guy that they have to deal with, and even though this movie is a little more grounded than a cartoon, not a lot, they're still foiling evil scheme, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Another thing I want to mention is the product placement That's not actual product placement. A lot of people apparently at the time didn't get it. They didn't understand that that was part of the joke.
Oh,
Well,
Almost every
I can see
scene
that
has
now.
some kind of corporate logo or product
Mhm.
placement in it, and it's making fun of that practice. And they didn't actually get paid for any of that. They had to get permission to do it. And some people actually watch this movie and think that they've sold out and
Right.
that it's actual product placement.
Oh my gosh. That's like kind of going I can see that now. That makes a lot of sense because it's
Mhm.
making it sort of meta and some because the whole thing is also
Yeah.
making fun of about, oh, here's how we get people to buy stuff and this is how we promote stuff, blah blah blah. And but it's taking all those other things and putting it in there for the sake of being like, this is what they do. This is what they do. Buy, buy, buy.
Mhm.
So yeah, I see what you're saying. That's really cool to know. That part I did not know at all, sir. But if you had them in outer space and you're imagining them doing their concerts, if you will, who do you see in at least in the role of the band? Excuse me.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit there.
Oh, I was saying, with the band in outer space, as you were imagining, who would you see in the role of the band members if you were to cast it?
Oh, so you want me to recast it
Oh, if you're able
with
to.
people now?
If you're able, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I knew you were going to ask this, so I
And this one's
did
a
a
hard
quick
question
Google.
too.
I just Googled
Oh,
Googled young actresses and picked a few because I knew you were going to ask this. I would go with Sophia Lillis as Josie
nice.
and Elle Fanning as Melody
Okay,
and Kiersey Clemens as Val.
Wow. Okay.
that's a
like
good. That's a good. I can see that.
I
I
like
can
it.
see that. Yeah.
I think you're probably one of the only people we've had on this show that's come on to be able to like recast somebody into a role.
At least that me and Chad is interviewed.
Yeah, at least we. That's awesome. Yeah, I do like. I like that choice. I like those choices. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't. I I wouldn't recast it, but I knew that was a question you were going to ask, so I
Yeah.
thought, well, who
You were
who's hot
prepared,
now
sir.
that
You
they
did
might
the
wanna put in
assignment.
this movie?
Yeah.
So in that case,
Oh, and Millie Bobby Brown as Alexandra.
Okay.
oh, that would be
There we
cute.
go. Yeah.
Excuse me. Gosh, sorry. My cat was all over me earlier today. So in that case, then just to kind of wrap everything up on this movie here, but why would you recommend to someone to see this movie?
Or why should
Or
someone
why
watch
they
this
should
movie?
see it? Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, you should watch it right now. And if you have watched it, you should watch it again. It's like that old there was an old commercial. How long's it been since you had a bowl of Wolf brand chili? Well, partner, that's too long. So how long's it been since you watched Josie and the Pussycats? That is too long. I mean, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna be surprised. I've convinced people to watch this movie and they were like, oh, that was better than I thought. I don't know that any of them would come away loving it as much as I do, but they all are certainly pleasantly surprised. It's not at all what they expect. I'm not sure what they expect, but they're always surprised and glad that they
Right.
watched it. Yeah, it's a good time. It's funny. It's got great music.
It's also it's a smart movie for what it is.
It really
you know,
is,
like
yeah.
when you see it, you may not think it, but it's a very smart film. It's got layers to it.
It does.
Yeah,
And
and ultimately, it's a movie about friendship, and that's
Yes.
always nice.
Exactly.
and I mean the quirkiness is intentional, so people just have to somehow grip hold of that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I like about it too is that in a way it's a good time capsule for back in that
Yes.
time, and where because we were coming out of the 90s,
Yeah.
coming into this new millennium, new decade, new century, if you will. So seeing the fashions, the styles of back then, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Because I can remember
Yeah.
some of, a lot of that on
Yeah.
and all, but it's great and it fits the movie so perfectly
Yeah.
for especially back then, and it definitely shows you about what was to come, I think, in terms of just maybe the entertainment industry and especially with the music industry, because it's still, I think, very prevalent today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And it's really critiquing and satirizing all of that stuff while it's still happening. It's right in the middle of it.
right.
It's not looking back at it. They're really aware of what is going on in that moment and are critiquing it, which is
So
not always an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, Dominic, why don't you go ahead and tell people, just again, replug, your show and where they can find you, so they can listen to your ongoings about kaiju movies.
Yeah.
Especially with
So you
31
can
Days of Horror.
find,
Yes.
yes, you can find us at mmftg.com. That stands for Monster Movie Fun Time Go. mmftg.com. That has links to all our stuff. You can listen to the show directly on there, or you can find links to us on all the major podcast services and probably some of the minor podcast services. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/mmftg. We do some early release stuff there and some ad-free stuff, but we also do some patron exclusives. Right now, we are making our way through the lyrics to the song Science Fiction Double Feature from Rocky Horror Picture
Oh,
Show.
I love it.
Oh
And
my
we are
God.
talking about each of the movies that is referenced
Ooh.
in that song.
Ooh, that's a
Awesome.
good
Although-
yes, that's a good one.
There's a few of them where we've already done the movie,
Mhm.
so we had to do something else. For example, we'll be releasing soon. We had already done Tarantula.
Mm.
Oh, good.
So the line is, I know Leo G. Carroll was over a barrel when Tarantula took to the hills. So what we had to do was take a look at Leo G. Carroll's sitcom Topper, in which he interacts with two ghosts on a regular basis.
Wow.
It's the only other thing he's done that is at all genre related.
That is amazing.
When
man.
came time to do King Kong, of course, we had already done King Kong, so we did Most Dangerous Game, which also has something going wrong for Fay Ray, and was
Wow,
filmed at the
yes.
same time that they filmed King
Wow.
and Most Dangerous Game at night
Wow.
on the same sets, use the same jungle sets.
Yeah.
So we had to make a few substitutions for movies that we'd already covered.
Yeah.
The Flash Gordon episode in particular is one of my favorites.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
I got to introduce Honeybee to Flash Gordon. She was not previously familiar.
Nice.
And we watched a little bit of many versions of Flash Gordon for that one.
Nice.
So
man.
that's what we're doing right now.
Nice.
And we'll move on to some other patron exclusive once we finish with that.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right, Chris, where can
Oh,
people
yeah.
find you?
So people can find me on Instagram at xtopher of Oz. You can find me on Twitter at cbcmonkey. I'm on Letterboxd, but of course, like I always say, go to Chad or Josh's Letterboxd and you can find me there. But otherwise, Chad, where can people find you in the
I'm actually
stratosphere?
nowhere online. People can't find me, but what you can do is you can find your next favorite movie podcast online. The best place to find, of course, all of our socials are the same at YNFM pod or something like that.
Yes.
Anyway,
You're
go to the
right.
link tree. The link tree is the best one. It's linktr.ee/YNF movie pod. And you can find all of our socials there. You can find all of our platforms there. And so yeah, until next time, we'll see you.
And thank you, Dominic. You have a good one, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.